Hey folks, my name is Veronica Foster and I am going to be your child's teacher for AP Lit this year. And if you had been able to attend an in-person open house, you may have gotten the 3-minute spiel that I'm about to deliver. So first I would start by introducing myself and telling you that I am going into my 7th year teaching English at Biddeford High School. Before this I taught for 2 years in Charlotte, North Carolina, but I'm actually from Saco. And this will be my 3rd year teaching AP Lit, which, as you might imagine, is an English teacher's dream. It truly is one of my favorite classes that I have ever been able to be a part of in any way as a teacher or a student. In part because the sort of requirement of it is that we just nerd out about books for several hours each week, which is, again, a dream. So the sort of big strands that AP Lit deals with are literary analysis of both prose and poetry. So how can we sort of look at a text and figure out not only what the author is saying on the sort of surface level, but also what they might be suggesting about the world underneath through the use of things like symbolism and imagery and diction. How do we advance our own sort of interpretation of a text and defend it using evidence? And then also, how can we use literature to answer some of these bigger questions about our world, which is one of the reasons why people have been writing and reading books for hundreds and hundreds of years, right? How do we know ourselves better, and how do we know each other better through the act of reading? All of which is great. We will read a variety of things this year. So short stories, poetry, a few novels, a play. And a thing to know about the content of AP Lit is that the texts that we're going to be looking at are meant for adults. This is a college class, and if your student gets a 3 or higher on the test at the end of the year, they'll receive college credit. But what that means is that these texts deal with subjects that are more sensitive, and that it's possible your student hasn't encountered in school yet. So a thing to be aware of at the very beginning is that that is going to be true of the reading that we do in here, and I find is really valuable for students to have the experience of talking about things that are a little bit tougher before they leave home and they start to have those conversations in the world. But if you ever have any concerns about that, please reach out to me. Happy to talk about it in more detail. And I think finally the last thing is that there is an independent reading requirement in addition to the text that we're going to be reading as a class. And there's a number of reasons for that. One is that independent reading is correlated with higher test scores and better academic performance in general. It's correlated with lower levels of stress, which I think we all sort of need right now. But also one of the essay questions on the exam at the end of the year requires students to write about a novel that they've read, and the more that they've read, the more likely it is that they'll be able to address that question successfully. So, if you ever have a question about what your child could be doing for AP Lit, one is definitely reading. They'll have an opportunity at the beginning of the year to choose a book, and they may choose to check out a physical copy of a book from me. We'll do that really safely. They'll be the only person touching that book. It'll be quarantined when it comes back to me. But we also have access this year to an online library, and they can check out a book that way as well. In general, throughout the year, I hope that you'll stay in touch with me. We're entering a school year that is unlike any that I have ever experienced, and unlike any that your child has ever experienced, which means that any feedback you can be giving me is really helpful. So at any point, if your child comes home and is like, I'm really confused about what's happening in English, or I need help, please let me know. And similarly, if they come home and they're like, oh my gosh, we did the best thing today, let me know that too, so that we can do more of it. So I hope that we talk soon. I hope you'll reach out via email if you ever have any questions or concerns or just want some more information. And I hope that you enjoy the beginning of the school year.